Good day, America. This is Sergio Becerra II, and welcome back to my channel. So, this is going to be one special video that I've been wanting to cover for almost a month. So, in this video, I'm going to be covering the trial of rapper Sean P. Diddy Combs. Now, I wanted to cover this topic, like I said, almost a month, like right after the verdict, but the thing is, I work a regular job and I've been busy like most of the time. So finally, I'm doing it now. So now I'm going to be covering the trial of Sean P. Diddy Combs. So as we all know, on July 2nd, 2025, Sean P. Diddy Combs was acquitted on three counts, two counts of sex trafficking by force, and another one that was real a really serious crime, that would be conspiracy to criminal racketeering. He was only found guilty on two counts of transportation for prostitution, which is a violation of a federal statute known as the Mann Act. Now, if he would have been convicted on all of these charges, especially the racketeering charge, he would have been doing life in prison. Just one count of criminal racketeering alone can get you life in prison. And I must say, this is like the most interesting case and an interesting trial ever. But along the way, within the last 3 or 4 weeks, there was some trouble brewing within the trial involving the jury, which I'll get into later on. So let us start off from the very beginning. On March 25th, 2024, federal agents raided P. Diddy's home, both in Diddy had two homes, two mansions, one in Los Angeles, California, one in Miami, Florida. Federal agents raided both his homes, both in Los Angeles and in Miami, in one day, related to the suspicion of what he has been doing, which we all know what they are. From what was reported in his home in Miami, they found a large number of guns. I think like a, a number of AR-15s, handguns, and I think an Uzi. What they noticed were serial numbers shaved off. And then, of course, the disturbing thing that was also found in his Miami home: 1,000 bottles of baby oil and 900 bottles of Astroglide, which is a lubricant, which we all know what Astroglide is used for, which I'm not going to bother to say. So, well, not only that, they did find some adult toys in his Miami home, which of course is pretty disturbing when the feds went into his Miami home. Now, as for his Los Angeles mansion, I'm not sure, nor recall what they found in there. Probably the same thing. I'm not quite sure, but as far as I know, what was found in his Miami mansion. So as the months went on, one thing did surface was a security camera footage that goes back to 2016 of him running down the hallway of a hotel in a towel, chasing down his then girlfriend at the time, Casey Ventura, while trying to run away from him because of inappropriate activity that Diddy wanted her to do, which I'll be explaining shortly. And as we see in the video, we see Diddy pulling his girlfriend to the ground and started kicking and stomping on her and then dragging her back to the room. So that was pretty disturbing to see. Then by September of 2024, Diddy was charged in a federal court in Manhattan, New York, charged with conspiracy to criminal racketeering, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, and 2 counts of transportation for transporting for prostitution, which is violation of the Mann Act, as I had mentioned. Now, Diddy pleaded not guilty to all charges in this indictment. Well, here's the thing. For what I understand was that Diddy was in New York and he was last spotted at Central Park because he knew that something was coming. So when that time came, he did turn himself in to the federal court in Manhattan and pleaded not guilty to all charges. So, for what we've learned so far in the months, uh, in the so as far as we know from the months after his homes got raided, so Diddy tried to post bail, well, try to apply for bail while awaiting trial. The judge apparently labeled him as a flight risk because we know he had, we know he has money and connections to flee the country. And then, of course, as we know, he has a violent, hot temper. That's another thing. And one thing I forgot to mention after his homes got raided, what was reported, that he already had like $1 million in cash already at hand to like flee the country shortly after his homes got raided. And the thing was, after his homes got raided, like nobody knew where he was at the time when he found out about this. So it was pretty obvious that he was planning to leave. And from what I've been hearing, he could have fled to the Bahamas. So Diddy's denied bail. He spent like almost a year in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, which is like one of the worst jails in New York. The same jail that singer R. Kelly was sitting in while awaiting his trial, which I'll mention R. Kelly later because he had similar charges to what Diddy was facing at the time. So, so now let's forward now to May of 2025. I forget like what date exactly when the trial had started. So, as the opening arguments started, well, right before that, on the day of the trial, Diddy's lawyers, which he had the best in the nation, looked at all 6 prosecutors that were prosecuting him, and if I remember correctly, it was an all-female prosecution. 6 prosecutors, all female. But then, of course, his lawyers, one of them I can't recall. I think one of them, was like the top. One of the top lawyers was Mark Agnifilo or Mark Agnifilo. I always forget how to pronounce his last name. I've been saying Agnifilo. So, and what does he do? He starts throwing the race card, saying it's all made up of a team of 6 white women. The judge that was handling this, Mark Aaron, so I always forget. I'm sorry, I forget how to pronounce his last name. So Bremianen, something like that. Looked at Diddy's lawyers and said race has no factor in this trial. That's what he said. So the trial starts. I think within the first week, the first witness. Well, there were a total of 34 witnesses, but I'm not going to go through all of them. It's a lot. So the first witness on the stand, which lasted 4 days, was none other than Diddy's first ex-girlfriend. That would be Casey Ventura. So their relationship went on for 12 straight years. I think I'm trying to remember, was it from started off back in 2007 or 2009, something like that, that ended in 2018. And she really laid out the horrors related to their relationship. So in regards to the trafficking by force and the transportation for prostitution, Diddy was holding parties, disturbing parties in both his homes, and then, of course, in hotels, which he called freak offs. So this all has to do with all the baby oil that was found in his home. Of course, the Astroglide, of course, what we all know what that. We all know what, like I said, we all know what Astroglide was for. But mainly, it's like throughout the whole time when he got indicted, like if you watch, if you're on like Instagram, TikTok, uh, there have been nothing but Diddy memes, and it's all mainly pointing to him in baby oil the whole time. I know this is gonna sound kind of funny, but Diddy had more bottles of baby oil in his home than he had accusations. And if you've seen some of my YouTube reels, no, I'm sorry, my YouTube shorts, they're from my TikTok and Instagram accounts. They're all Diddy memes, and I know I was trying to stay up to date on the trial most of the time. And you know what? I kind of apologize and uh, getting some of the charges against him that were wrong because I thought the charge of assault was thrown in there too, along with the racketeering and the trafficking. I got some of that wrong. I apologize. So, before I get into what Casey said, one thing I forgot to mention, like shortly after Diddy's indictment, if you're familiar with the show TMZ, TMZ's Harvey Levin was talking with Mark Agnifilio, which is one of Diddy's lawyers. He had asked him, what do you have to say about the baby oil in his home? And what does Agnifilio say? Well, just like any American, they shop in bulk. They always buy stuff in bulk, like go to Costco. But the CEO of Costco quickly responded and said, "We don't even sell baby oil." And you know what? I shop at Costco all the time too. And you know what? When I go walking around into their like baby section, I see no baby oil. So of course Diddy's lawyer is lying, making things up. So okay, now let's forward now to Casey's testimony. So when they when she was dating Diddy at the time, apparently Diddy wanted her to engage in these sex acts known as freak offs. Now I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try to explain this as much as possible because she was on the stand for 4 days. So apparently Casey agreed to participate in these freak offs. And of course, Diddy would have her doused in baby oil, and then of course, if I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember as much as I can. The male prostitutes that Diddy had hired would also be lubed up in baby oil. But then I heard at one point there was like a little pool filled with baby oil, and they would be in it. And the thing was, all this was being recorded on camera by Diddy, and Diddy is watching all of this. And from what I've been hearing, which is like really disturbing, Diddy would literally pleasure himself while all this was going on, watching his girlfriend having intimacy with a male prostitute. That was being said while all this was being recorded. Now, now we will get to the testimony of like 2 or 3 male escorts that were hired by Diddy to engage in these freak offs. Now, the only reason why Casey agreed was this: just to make him happy, but not to make him angry when he didn't get his way. But Diddy's lawyers were arguing this was consensual. Well, I kind of thought about it for some time up until the verdict. Maybe Diddy's lawyers may have had a point saying it. I mean, could have been right saying by saying it was consensual, even though she agreed. But as Casey said, just wanted to make him happy, but not make him angry. But then I thought, if he's got trafficking charges by force, then yeah, then I totally do agree that it was definitely indeed trafficking, but only because she did not want to upset Diddy at all costs. So yeah, I don't agree with Diddy's lawyers. So there were times that these freak offs will go on for days and days, hours and hours non-stop. And it was just crazy. Now, one thing that Casey Ventura did admit during her relationship, she admitted to using drugs from cocaine to ketamine, I don't know what else, to like help her zone out, not feel as much pain when engaging, etc., etc. Now, these were drugs that weren't given to her by Diddy. She she had them on her the whole time. So looks like she looks like she had been buying them. She had been buying them by herself. And the thing was, when they started dating, her and Diddy, of course, she got into the music business. Of course, Diddy was in control the whole time. So whatever he didn't get, he cut he would cut her off, and whatever he would buy for her, clothes, jewelry, cars, etc., etc., and whenever he didn't get his way, and she refused, he would punish her by taking it all away. There, there were a couple of cases where, at one point during one of these freak offs, Casey did mention. I know this is going to be disturbing, but she did say uh, during one freak off with a male escort, did he purposely wet his pants? Well, while watching her with a male escort. Not only that, Diddy wanted to urinate on her and along with the male escort. Now, Casey did not feel comfortable having that done to her, but without making Diddy upset, let him and the male escort pee all over her. Yeah, that was very disturbing. So this went on for 4 straight days with her on the stand. Now, at the time, she was already 8 months pregnant. So it was like really emotional for her to have to relive what happened throughout the whole time. So after that, there were like three or four. I mean, two or three other male escorts that took the stand. One of them went by the nickname the Punisher, and another one by the name of Antoine. From I forget the first. I forget the name of the first one, but from what's been said, when they got hired, they did not know that Diddy had hired them. So when they met with Casey in a hotel, I forget what hotels that quite a number. I forget. One of them was something Continental. I forget. When one of the when all, when one of the escorts met with Casey in the room they were in, all the first male escort did mention that he did see a male figure naked, but wearing I think I don't remember if it was a mask or whatever but did not know it was Diddy. But it wasn't until later on that he realized it was Diddy by the sound of his voice, if I remember correctly. So these freak offs again would go on for like several days, for many hours, non-stop. And from what Casey's been saying, it would go on every night, hours and hours. So later on in the trial, one of Diddy had a personal assistant, real name unknown, but went by the undercover name Mia. Did work for Diddy as a personal assistant for many, many years. I don't know how many years, for but from what she said, Diddy would be very abusive. She would work non-stop, and there'd be like no rest at all. Is what it was what from been said the whole time. Or I might be mistaken, maybe not Mia, but someone else that was working for Diddy, but that was working nonstop and didn't get any chance to sleep. But from what's been said by the undercover name personal assistant Mia, Diddy at one point would hit her, slam her arm on the door, throw things at her, curse at her. So, and there was at one point that she did say that she was sexually assaulted by Diddy. From what was read in one of the articles that I've been reading, that she woke up one morning and Diddy was on top of her for like, I don't know, like several minutes or so. And then so I don't know when she stopped working for him, but she ended up quitting and then left. But however, she was friends with Casey for a good while. They did admit to smoking marijuana together. She did feel bad for Casey and what she had to go through and all of that. So I don't know how many days exactly she went on the stand. So after her testimony, another male escort by the name by went by the nickname the Punisher, hired by Diddy. Now, just like with the first one, would meet up at a hotel. Would finally meet with Casey. Diddy wasn't coming out of the bathroom again naked. From what I understand, he had a veil over his face. Didn't know it was Diddy until he later caught on. Now, one thing I forgot to mention after the first male escort had testified, I don't remember if it was the first escort or the second one, but Diddy would be screaming and hollering at Casey for whatever, and like this male escort just felt sorry for Casey, just like felt sorry for her. Casey would have her head leaning against the male escort's shoulder, like really, really sad for what she has to endure. So that's as far as I know from coming from the second escort. That Diddy would appear naked with a veil over his face. However, during one freak off, I don't remember if it was from testimony from the first male escort or from the second, known as the Punisher. At one point, since Casey did admit to using drugs, Casey at one point was overdosing, but still went on. Now, one thing I forgot to mention when, like, shortly after Diddy was indicted, they did find, uh, I don't remember, no, wait a minute, I don't remember if it was after his homes got raided or sometime after he got indicted. I know it's been almost a year since his indictment, but they did find IV stands in his home. So knowing this was all related to the pain that both of Diddy's exes were feeling because of these freak offs, and of course went on to doing more. So yeah, at one point Casey was overdosing while doing a freak off with one of the escorts. So then you had more testimony. I mean more testimony and more yeah, from other witnesses that were involved. Like I said, there were 34, and there's a lot people present at you had a lot of social media influencers that are journalists. They were in the courtroom. So I've been watching all these updates lately, giving like different responses for what was going on. But you know what? It's kind of hard to believe or even understand what's been going on in the courtroom lately. But I don't take these investigators from social media that serious. That's why I only read the updates on news websites. Now, like I mentioned about the security footage from that one hotel where Casey was running away from Diddy while being chased by him half naked while wearing a towel, in which he later beat her up. Now, let's fast forward to another witness that prosecution brought in. That would be Eddie Garcia, who was a hotel security guard that was testifying. Now, here's the thing: he took a what was it, an immunity deal or immunity plea? I don't remember. It's because he knew he would get in trouble for accepting a bribe by Diddy by handing over the security footage to him, and that's property to the hotel that Diddy and Casey were at when Casey tried to run for him. So he took an immunity plea that he would not be charged if he testified. So this is related to the security camera footage back in 2016. So what was been said that he did see Casey running away from Diddy. That was when things got down by the elevators, by throwing her to the ground and started hitting her, stomping on her, etc., etc. So Diddy knew there was camera footage, and he knew he had to get the footage from from the hotel security. So Garcia, who was called up by Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Coram, who has been the top number one top woman helping Diddy's business within the music industry, one who has been organizing and orchestrating everything. So I think like two or three times that Christina Coram called up Eddie Garcia at the hotel. Again, I can't remember the name of the hotel, something Continental. I don't remember. So the first time, calls up the hotel, talks to Garcia, and says, "We would like to have that security footage." Garcia said, "No, not giving us the security footage. That's hotel property." Second time, calls him up and says, "Please give us the security footage." Again, Garcia says, "No." Then the third time, Christina Coram calls up Eddie Garcia again. "We would really like to have that security footage, please." Once again, Garcia says no. But then Christina Coram hands the phone over directly to Diddy. Diddy tells him, "If you don't give me that security footage, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come go after you. I'm gonna go after you if you don't hand me that footage." So Diddy knows that it would have been forwarded over to police, knowing how much trouble he would have gotten into. So what happened next? Diddy would give him $100,000 in cash if he handed over the footage. Garcia agrees to take the bribe, and he knew he would get in trouble if this was ever discovered. Diddy goes over to the hotel. I don't remember if it was Diddy or his chief of staff, probably both, or maybe just Diddy. And he had like a large bag of $100,000 in cash, gave it to him, and handed over the security footage to Diddy. But what Diddy did not know, he thought that was the only copy of the security footage, not knowing that there was a second copy of the footage, which CNN later got hold of, and that's when it got aired all over the nation. Now, during the trial, Diddy's lawyers were arguing, accusing CNN of altering the security footage by like fast forwarding to when Casey was being chased by him. But CNN later replied by saying, "We never altered the footage. Uh, that's how that's how it all happened. All of it's right there. We never messed with it." So Garcia tells exactly what happened. Now you had some other I forget other witnesses. Oh yes, here we go. This is now related to the racketeering charge. Now you have rapper Kid Cudi. I'm not. I don't look. I don't listen to rap at all. I mean, Diddy is like so far one of the most top popular rappers in America. Perhaps over the world. Pretty sure a lot of people have heard of him, but I don't follow rap. I really don't. I'm not familiar with Kid Cudi, but Kid Cudi. Now this relates to. No, this is all going to relate to the racketeering charge because Kid Cudi, who was like rivals with Diddy, testified that his own car, his Porsche, back in 2012, his Porsche was firebombed with a Molotov cocktail, and I think I remember hearing that his car was also shot up too. And then there was mention of a glove found inside the car. We don't know if it was Diddy, it was Diddy's or whoever. All I know there was a glove found in the car, but the car was all charred. I don't know if DNA was ever discovered on the glove. What I don't remember. All I know is that the car was firebombed with a Molotov. But but Kid Cudi knew that this had to be. Kid Cudi knew this had to be Diddy because at one point during Casey's relationship with Diddy, apparently Casey kind of like cheated on him by going to Kid Cudi and having a relationship with him. Pretty sure that uh, Kid Cudi knew that what was going on. Maybe she didn't tell him about the freak offs. All probably just told her exactly that he was just being abusive. Again, I apologize. I try to follow as much of the news as much as possible. I know there's a lot, all the articles. I know they don't. Every article I read doesn't give that much information, but Cuddy did say so far that she ran to him. What's been going on? I'm not sure if she brought up the freak offs or not, but all I know that Diddy was abusive. So Diddy like found out. That's when Cuddy found out that his car got firebombed with a Molotov. So he had to know that it was Diddy. Now we're gonna fast forward again to another ex-girlfriend of Diddy's. This was like his last one that Diddy was with, um, maybe like 3 or 4 years, because their relationship ended just like when his homes got raided, maybe before that. Now we don't know Diddy's second ex-girlfriend's real name. All we know is she goes by the undercover name Jane, like Jane Doe. So as far as I know about Jane, yeah, she too participated in these freak offs. That's why Diddy has 2 counts of sex trafficking by force and transportation for prostitution. And each count had to do with both of his ex girlfriends that he was with. So apparently, if I remember correctly, Jane actually agreed, like Casey, and did it. So there was one male escort by the name of Antoine. As far as I don't remember the last name, all I know it went by the name of Antoine. So of course at another hotel, Diddy is he has his face covered, I think, with a veil. Didn't know it was Diddy until he later caught on as well. They both did freak. Of course, Diddy's watching all this while Jane is intimate with an escort. There was one freak off that Mia did. I mean, not Mia. I mean Jane. Jane did mention that Diddy forbid the male escort from using protection, forbidden from using a condom. So, so, I think Jane was like not happy that Diddy forbid this escort from using protection. Now, I think like after the trial had ended, from what I've been hearing, I know this goes back with Casey, that one of the escorts did say that Casey may have given this escort an STD. I don't know if I don't know if protection was used with all the other male escorts that Casey was with, but he's claiming that Casey gave her an STD and may have gotten pregnant by the escort and then had the child terminated. So both Diddy and Casey were, from what I've been here, are both being sued for not only for giving him an STD, but terminating this escort's child that Casey had had. Now, let's move back to Jane. So at one point during one freak off that Diddy forbid the escort from wearing protection. So that as far as I know. Now I don't remember it was either Casey or Jane. At one point, um, Diddy committed kidnapping on one of them. I forget what somehow. All I know that of course the relationship again was being very abusive. I apologize. I'm trying to remember. Um, I had one thing going on back with Jane. I mean not Jane. With Casey. I'll get back to it now. I remember. So I forget how many days that Jane was on the stand exactly, testifying. Oh yes, now I remember. At one point during Jane's testimony, without Diddy's knowledge, Jane and a friend of maybe two or three friends, or maybe just one, went to Las Vegas, celebrating, partying together. I don't know which hotels they were at, but at one point, without until Diddy later found out, they attended a they went and attended a celebrity freak off. So there was a freak off going on with involving another rapper, which Jane mentioned a mystery rapper that was having this celebrity freak off. And you got all these people, and of course, one of the male escorts that Diddy has hired before, that would be Antoine. She mentioned that during, uh, she mentioned that this same escort was being intimate with one of with one party guest, one woman in the hotel room, and everyone is watching all this go down. And at one point, Jane did bring up one name in particular. That would be Kanye West. So people are wondering, was Kanye this mystery rapper that was holding this celebrity freak off with all these other guests and all these other women with the same escort that Diddy had hired? To me, it sounded like it's possible because at one point during the trial, out of nowhere, well, like shortly after Kanye's name got mentioned, Kanye shows up to the courthouse to like show support for Diddy because they're friends and all that. But from what I've been hearing, Diddy, I mean, no, not Diddy, Kanye was turned away. because the courts kind of feared that if he showed his face somehow, this would somehow change the minds of the jury, like show sympathy for Diddy or whatever, because Kanye's there whatsoever. So Diddy got uh, kicked out of the courthouse, didn't get into the courtroom in the exact courtroom, but not into. I'm sorry, he didn't go into the exact courtroom where Diddy was just told to leave. And from what's been said too, that his wife Bianca was there. Even some people were wondering, was Bianca fully dressed? Because we already know some of these inappropriate dresses that Bianca would wear. I mean, we already know that one award show, or there was one award show, whatever. She was wearing one dress where you can see everything, like like she was wearing nothing. I don't know. As far as I know, they were both there, but Kanye was not allowed. So like shortly after Jane brought up this celebrity freak off and then mentions Kanye, shortly after Kanye shows up. I don't remember if Jane did mention about if this mystery rapper, probably Kanye, somehow did like Jane or Jane liking this mystery rapper whatsoever. But shortly after that happened, Diddy found out about this and was like not happy with Jane that she attended someone else's freak off, but was not involved, but watched. Well, the same escort that Diddy had hired was being intimate with a female guest right in front of everybody. Okay, now there was one thing I forgot to mention, going back to Casey, and that was back in 2018 when their relationship ended. Uh, when their relationship ended in 2018, she said that Diddy raped her when they said that the relationship was over. Said when this was, they said this relationship was over. I can't do it anymore. And at one point, she says that Diddy raped her. So after that happened, this is when Casey later met with her, started going out with her future husband. I forget the name of the current husband. Look it up. Okay. Okay. So here's a picture of Casey right here. You can see clearly that's Casey Ventura. Let me go. Okay. All right. So her current husband right now is Alex Fine. So in 2018, after their her relationship with Diddy was ended in 2018, that's when she started going out with Alex Fine in 28 in the same year. Well, this was like late 2018 when their relationship ended, her and Diddy, and then in 2019, that's when Alex Fine and Casey got married. So at the time, well, Casey was on the stand. She was already pregnant with her third child, like I had mentioned. So now we're done with Jane's testimony. So now within the third and fourth week, that's when we see drama going on, and it's related to the jury. Now, Diddy had got in trouble with the judge because apparently he broke like one serious rule or protocol, whatever it was, pretty sure a rule, a big, very serious rule. Diddy was not allowed to make any contact nor communication with the jury, knowing full well he was trying to sabotage his own trial. So at one point, the judge, I don't remember if he had dismissed the whole jury for like a short recess or dismissed them at the end of the day or to go to lunch or whatever. The judge got mad at Diddy and his lawyers for what Diddy was doing by making eye contact with the jury and said to them, your client is looking at the jury, making eye contact, and he can't be doing that. I know what he's trying to do. He's uh, trying to get at least one or more jurors to agree with him. Can't be doing any of that. You need to control your client. The lawyers were like, yes, Your Honor. And look at Diddy and go, what the hell are you doing? Can't be doing any of that. So a couple of days later, they had one problem with juror number 6, real name unknown. So, and related to this, apparently Diddy found one juror that was nodding and agreeing with Diddy. I mean, nodding and agreeing with Diddy, like heavily nodding his head, like agreeing with him, like yes. Like he finally found a juror that does agree with him, saying, "Yeah, this whole case is all BS." In Diddy's mind, he's saying, "Yes, this whole trial is BS. Free me," because it only takes one juror to say either guilty or not guilty, depending what the other jurors think, whether they want to find someone guilty or not guilty. So I don't remember if it was the judge or the prosecution. The judge had juror number 6 removed. Not only that was he removed from making contact with Diddy, but he did in fact gave false information regarding his residency, saying he was living in New York. I don't remember if it was Queens or Brooklyn, but it showed that he had been living in New Jersey the whole time. Apparently, he like wanted to be on this jury. Apparently, he had an agenda, like a personal agenda involving Diddy. So Diddy had like at least one juror in the jury pool, literally agreeing with him. No, I can't say whether this juror was a fan of Diddy or whatever, but like agreed siding with Diddy the whole time. So this caused problems. So now you got Diddy's lawyers now calling for a mistrial. Well, this isn't the first time they called for a mistrial. There were like 2 or 3 times they called for a mistrial, and Diddy's lawyers' argument was this kind of like breaks away the whole point of having a diverse jury, because the jury in the Diddy trial was diverse. I can't recall like how many how many people. I mean, 12 jurors, but I don't know how many mixed races there were in there. But the juror number 6, apparently was a black male. So he was the one that was removed and got replaced by a white male. So Diddy's like, man, knowing this was like the only juror that could have freed him. So his lawyers were not happy. They tried to call for a mistrial. The judge said no. So uh, there's judge said no only because one juror kept making eye contact with Diddy, and Diddy got in trouble for doing so. So they had to have this juror removed. And on top of that, like I said, his residency, the information of his residency. So juror number 6, a black male got replaced by a white male. No. And then within a couple of days, this maybe within a day or two, I don't remember. That's when we saw trouble now with juror number 7. And it all had to do with a text message on his phone. It's a little complicated, of a message that he had received, and the judge was like, "Do you recognize this number that's texting you whatever information regarding the trial?" Juror number 7 said, "No, I do not recognize this number. Honestly, I don't know what was texted to him. Probably information, an article whatsoever. But, however, apparently an article got leaked to the media for what happened, for what was going on during the trial, and the judge was not happy regarding some certain information, but he was pointing fingers directly at Diddy's defense. But it wasn't just defense. He was also looking at the prosecution as well. And let me tell you, this judge was not playing games. And he said completely, well, after he dismissed the jury for a bit, I don't remember if it was at the end of the day or during the lunch break, but the judge looked at Diddy's lawyers and went, well, not just his lawyers, but prosecution, going, I'm giving you guys a warning. I don't want to see this again because I will take away all your phones and get to the bottom of who leaked this article. So the judge was looking at Diddy's lawyers like if they had purposely leaked something out to the media. That, of course, tells the prosecution, I'm going to take away your phones too in case you have anything to do with it. So, yeah. So you had two jurors already started controversy. One got removed, one involving a text message, but then you got an article that was being leaked, and the judge was like really not having it. So, like 2 or 3 times, the Diddy's lawyers were trying to get the case dismissed on a mistrial. The first time the first time Diddy's lawyers tried to attempted to get a mistrial is because they think that the testimonies the testimonies coming from Casey Ventura were all lies. Second time, the second time they tried to get a mistrial was because of juror number 6. The third time I can't even recall. And then once prosecution got to the final witness, I forget his name exactly, but he was the guy responsible of transporting drugs, trafficking drugs to Diddy for these freak-offs. Not, I know prescription drugs he was trafficking, but I don't recall if any illegal substances were also being trafficked as well. But I forget his name, but he too took an immunity plea for what he did. I think he got in trouble for it too, if I recall. And like I said, I can't remember the name, but all I know that Diddy had prescription drugs under a fake alias. I think Diddy went by a fake alias name by the name of Frank Black, something like that. I know that the last name was Black. I don't remember if the first name was Frank. So he was the man in charge of transporting drugs to Diddy for his parties. That is, as far as I know right now, that was like the last the last witness on the stand. Defense didn't even bring any witnesses themselves to testify on Diddy's behalf. Prosecution had more than one witness. Now, go back to Jane when she took the stand for her testimony. What did the prosecution ask her? Do you know why you're here? Well, without mentioning Diddy, it was actually because I was subpoenaed by the government and told to, as far as I remember. So that kind of like didn't help with the prosecution's case. Now, the lead prosecutor in this case, uh, Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey, that's her name, who was like the leading prosecutor in this case. Maureen Comey, who was actually the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, if some of you do know who he is. So she's the daughter of the former FBI director, and she is a prosecutor, an assistant U.S. Uh, U.S. attorney, who apparently just a couple of weeks ago was fired from the DOJ by Pam Bondi, who is the current United States Attorney General. And I think it's just, as far as I know, the reason why, because she is just a poor prosecutor, because this wasn't the only case uh, uh, she had handled. From what I understand, also Jeffrey Epstein, I think Harvey Weinstein as well, which I'll bring up later. So I think by the fourth and fifth week, actually by the fourth week, we had the closing arguments because Diddy's lawyers actually wanted to try to wrap this trial up by the 4th of July of this month. So the closing argument started off with the prosecution first, and I had to agree with the prosecution, and that is Diddy used his fame, his wealth, and power to be above the law and acted like a king and did whatever he wanted to do. And I had to agree because Diddy is one powerful celebrity. This man is just a very powerful man with his own enterprise, his own business related to music, Bad Boy Entertainment. His own enterprise, using his own power to do whatever the hell he wanted, which got him to where he is right now. Now, I don't remember the closing arguments coming from defense, but all I know, their argument was everything that's being said, of course, bringing up Casey, that everything was consensual, so the trial against him is ridiculous. But their argument was, I think, from the beginning and up to the end, that prosecution wanted to go after a successful black man. That was their argument from the beginning until end. And they're telling the jury, please find him not guilty. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I actually wanted Diddy to be found guilty. Now, as soon as all closing arguments were done, then came I'm trying to find the word. Well, of course, oh yes, deliberation. Now, the judge gave instructions to the jury. As we all know, instructions were given. And then, of course, once again, we find a problem with the jury again, this time with juror number 25. And apparently, juror number 25 didn't go along, did not listen, did not want to go along with the judge's instructions. But from what I've been hearing from sources throughout social media like TikTok, that apparently, from what was being said, that the jury made up a decision within 2 hours with the prosecution, but the prosecution came out and said, "No, you guys did this too fast. Go back and deliberate some more." So I forget how long the deliberation went on, probably like 2 or 3 days. But the judge responded to the jury's note related to jury number 25, saying, just follow the instructions I had given you. That was it. Now, one thing I forgot to mention related to the jury when juror number 6 started causing trouble, that the jury was never sequestered when being brought in from the very beginning. If they were going to follow every single piece of direction and follow the oath that they were given, do not talk about the trial to your fellow jurors or anyone outside the jury. Don't talk to the media, nothing. Don't even look at your social media. Don't look at any social media posts or nothing like that that could screw up anything. So apparently by the second or third day, if I can recall, there was a verdict. So there was a decision being made. And I think it had to do with the two counts of the sex trafficking and the transportation for prostitution. So there was a verdict for that, but they had a hard time deciding on the racketeering charge. So the judge said, "Call it a day for now. Come back again and deliberate some more on this final charge." So on July 2nd of this month, 2025, finally a verdict came down. They found Sean P. Diddy Combs not guilty of conspiracy to criminal racketeering. They found him not guilty on two counts of sex trafficking by force related to both Casey Ventura and Jane. But they only found him guilty of two counts of transportation for prostitution on both of his girlfriends, which is a violation of the Mann Act. That's the only two counts they got him on. They got him on. And let me tell you something. I was not happy that he was acquitted on those three counts. Like I said, I wanted Diddy to go down. I mean, this was like the worst, the worst thing that Diddy could ever do. And this was like the trial of the century. What he was doing, he knew his life would be screwed. So the thing with the Mann Act, which is a federal statute, each just one count alone can get someone 10 years in prison. So since he was found guilty on just two counts, he's looking at 20 years. But he's a celebrity. He's got power. He's got connections whatsoever. But since he's a celebrity, an A-list celebrity, an A-list celebrity, he's gonna get probation. Even if he does get time in prison, it's probably not gonna be a long time. He's not gonna get the full 20 years, even though he spent almost a year in prison because we're looking at about 2 months to go before the 1 year mark when he got indicted. So I think he's gonna walk with probation. Who knows how long? And that's what I'm leaning towards too. And I'm not happy about it. So once the verdict was reached, you had Diddy fans outside the courthouse, and I kid you not. They were waving bottles of baby oil in the air, and they were like squirting it all over each other. And but you know what? There were some things I did find funny. There was one point. Well, I'm sorry. One thing I did find funny, like as soon as the verdict was done and everything was over, you had one guy holding a handmade sign, and it was like a reference to the O.J. Simpson trial that said, "If the oil didn't make you slip, you must have quit." I found that funny, but then you had one guy outside the courthouse selling T-shirts that said, "A Frico is not a Rico." I mean, I found that stupid, but you know what? I mean, he did have a point. Throwing parties and especially sex parties, orgies, and all that, it's not really a crime. But in Diddy's case, for what he was doing, I mean that those were crimes. But it wasn't just both his girlfriends engaging in these freak offs. From what we've been understanding since his indictment involving these parties that Diddy's had in his homes, we know there have been a number of celebrities that have participated in these freak offs. Probably some that have had to do with the trafficking. And for what I've been hearing, that kids may have been involved in being trafficked by Diddy, and some celebrities may have. And you know what? Some celebrities, at least two that I know, male celebrities that were victimized by Diddy, that would be LeBron James and Justin Bieber, that were victimized by Diddy. So There's no doubt that Diddy is a sodomite because we know there's proof out there. But you had other celebrities who participated in these parties, and well, one of them that went from being victim to now possible suspect, who've had a role in participating in the freak offs, possibly in trafficking. Two names so far: Ashton Kutcher and Usher. Usher would be the one first being victimized by Diddy, and then had to roll and have had a role with Diddy's parties the whole time. But they were like, but these are two big names that have had deep connections with Diddy. You've had other celebrities that have been mentioned, such as Oprah Winfrey, Tom Hanks. Uh, I don't know who else, and one name in particular. Well, actually, two that were also involved, and these are two other well-known people. Well, famous but not celebrities. That will be none other than former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama. So there's a possibility that the Obamas took part in some freak offs because there's now allegations against them. We know there's more celebrities out there that were involved with Diddy's parties. Oh, yeah, Will Smith was another one. But then I'm also hearing that rapper 50 Cent, who is also another rival with Diddy, uh, from what I've been hearing, was like almost victimized by Diddy. But now, from what I'm hearing, he's like going after Diddy, trying to expose the truth about him. From what I've heard, shortly after his indictment, that he was going to do a documentary about Diddy, like get to the bottom, like who this man was, who's become a literal monster. And you know what? These names that I brought up right now, these are some of the, these are some names that were involved with Diddy, were also involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Like I said, Oprah is another. Barack and Michelle Obama. Those are two more who have also whose names have popped up uh, involving Jeffrey Epstein. Will Smith, who has been involved with Diddy's parties, I think possibly with Epstein. I don't know because we know there's a lot more celebrities who have been involved with both these people, both Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein. But a lot, but we know there's more names out there because here's the thing that I forgot to mention. Shortly after Diddy's indictment, you've had a number of people within the music industry, uh, music executives, uh, uh, owners of other record companies that may have had involvement with Diddy, like covering up for him. They resigned from their jobs and left, not because of that they're next. It's highly suspected they may have had any involvement covering up for Diddy, but because these three counts were that the top the top three counts on Diddy were, well, he got acquitted on. We'll never know. Now, as for Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Coram, since she was like the one responsible for everything that Diddy wanted from the freak offs, uh, getting the male escorts, even though Diddy had a role in hiring them, but was the person in charge, such as getting the security camera footage from that one hotel, from that one guard, but also paid off the escorts and both Diddy's girlfriends for the freak offs. Whatever Diddy wanted, Christina Coram took care of it. And if Diddy would have gone, if Diddy was found guilty on all charges, then the possibility that the feds could have gone after her. But since Diddy's only found guilty on the two counts of the Mann Act, we'll never get her. I don't see anything. But other celebrities, that were involved, we'll never know too. Because if Diddy would have went down, everyone within the music industry, I mean, every celebrity within Hollywood, just all of Hollywood alone, including the music industry, he would have brought them down with him. Every one of them. So we'll never know who was also involved. But you know what? Another person that should have been called to testify, another ex girlfriend that Diddy had dated back in the early 2000s, was none other than Jennifer Lopez. Now the question is, did she know what Diddy was up to? Did she had a role in these freak offs, in any freak offs that Diddy was doing also? We don't know because from what I've been hearing, there's already now a surface photo of her in one of a surface photo of her. I don't know if it's in one of Diddy's homes, but there's like security footage of her with Diddy, and it looks like a male escort standing in front of a security camera, and she's topless, and she's wearing like a what looked like a bikini bottom whatsoever. But there's like a picture of her like topless, and she's got Diddy and a male escort standing next to her. So we don't know if she had any role in any freak offs, maybe participated in one or more, or if she knew what Diddy was up to. And I'm surprised that she was never called in. Other names, I forgot to mention that were involved. Two more. They're two big. And these are two big names within the music industry. That would be Jay Z, of course, because his name has also popped up involving Jeffrey Epstein, and who else? Beyonce, no doubt, is trying to protect Jay Z for any involvement he had with Diddy in these freak offs because he did have an allegation months ago, way before the trial had started, involving accusation of rape on a 13-year-old back in the year 2000. But that allegation got dismissed, and we kind of suspect there was a payoff because when it comes to sex crimes, it's no laughing matter. It's like very serious. So we suspect something's going on. So Jay Z, no doubt, involved with Diddy, and Beyonce is trying to cover him because even both Jay Z and Beyonce together are said to be on the Epstein list. And well, I didn't know way before the trial that Jay Z had cheated on Beyonce more than once, but in the past has had to put up with his infidelity and even forgiven him. But the only reason why she hasn't left him, it's because they're both business partners in the music industry, and you know we always suspect that sorry things go behind closed doors. A lot of things, especially with award shows. So you've got a lot of celebrities involved with Diddy. I know there's more than one, like some of the names that I brought up. Another thing that happened like shortly after the verdict was over, you had some people on the ground doing TikTok videos. They're outside the they're standing outside the courthouse, uh, one side of the courthouse where you had those garage doors, those double door garage doors open, and came out the van that was transporting the jury to and from the courthouse. And some people on the ground that saw the jury leaving the courthouse in the van, they said they saw smiles on their faces, which leads to many people, especially myself, to believe that Diddy paid them off, which I kind of believe because when it came to the two serious charges of the sex trafficking and the racketeering, Diddy was screwed from the very beginning. Because one thing I forgot to mention that Diddy had one lawyer as part of his defense team that had quit on him because it looked like this lawyer knew that Diddy was screwed completely. Now, what's been said on the ground, that you had people recording the van with the jurors in the van via TikTok, saw them with smiles on their faces. So there's no doubt they were paid off, because that's like very suspicious. And I have no doubt that they were paid off by Diddy, because it's Diddy. He can be very dirty. So there's no doubt in my mind that the jury was paid off to get some of the serious charges off, knowing that the other two he would get probation for, which I have no doubt he'll get probation and will not do time, but probably will, but not for long, knowing that he's already spent almost a year in the detention center in Brooklyn. But who knows if he's going to get prison time, but probably not long, not the full 20 years on the two counts, which each one carries 10. Now, here's another thing I have to question. The guns that were found in his home, why was he not charged for altering the serial numbers on those guns? Now, I don't know how many guns he had in his home. Like I said, he had a number of AR-15s, handguns, possibly unusually, like I had mentioned. But one count alone can get someone 5 years in prison with a $5,000 fine. Now, depending how many guns he had in his home, he would he would have been found guilty for like each count, and then he would have possibly done time, because it's both a state and federal offense shaving up the serial numbers. And I don't know why he was never charged for scratching the serial numbers off those guns, which I don't know why the feds never did when his homes got raided. One thing I forgot to mention, uh, part of the testimony, that one of the federal agents, now I forget what agency this agent was working for. It's not FBI, not ATF. I forget. Uh, I don't remember what agency. Can't remember the acronym. But he was the one in charge to raid Diddy's mansion in Miami. That's when he found the guns and the baby oil and the sex toys in his home. Because even he said what he found in his home was disturbing. The sex toys, the baby oil, the Astroglide, everything. So I don't know why he was never charged with any of that. I mean, there's just so much to question here. Now, I would have to say this, uh, regarding celebrities, when it comes to these kind of sick things that go on. And this is what really pisses me off, big time. Just because you're famous, you have money, you have power whatsoever, does not make you above the law. Does that mean you can disregard the law and do whatever the hell you want without any consequences whatsoever? To me, Diddy is that example. And you know what? It's not just celebrities. I have to say, even YouTube content creators. Even though there may be some rich YouTube content creators out there that have become celebrities themselves. Now, not just Hollywood celebrities, but anybody on YouTube or any content creator throughout social media, including YouTube, does not make you above the law, making you above the law. You can do whatever the hell you want with your power, money, and fame, and thinking you can make up your own little kingdom, making up your own rules, making up your own laws, and doing whatever the hell you want. No, you have to follow the same rules and laws like everybody else does. Now, I'm a content creator myself, but I'm not famous myself. No, I just post whatever I do here. That's it. And that's what really pisses me off. Just because you have money, wealth, money, power, fame, whatever, you think you can just do whatever. In Diddy's case, he thought he can do all that. Which is what the closing arguments with the prosecution have brought up. So I'm not really happy with what happened in this trial. I really don't. So for any celebrities out there, whether you're from Hollywood or if you're on YouTube or whatever, don't do what Diddy has done already because it could land you in jail yourself. And who knows? You can probably end up in the in the same amount of trouble Diddy has, but who knows who will ever go to prison. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, regarding that one guy that was selling T-shirts, look, throwing parties in particular, even sex parties, orgies, there's nothing illegal about that. But don't be doing what Diddy has got himself into. Now, if Diddy really did believe he didn't do any of that, well, then he should have not been doing these freak offs, trafficking and transporting people for these sex acts, and he would have not seen himself in court in the very beginning. So if you're gonna have a party, don't make it like what Diddy did. Don't do like what like Jeffrey Epstein did too, and trafficking people. Now, R. Kelly. Now, I know I said I was gonna bring up R. Kelly, and I came this close to like almost forgetting about him. Now, R. Kelly was in this same similar boat what Diddy did, trafficking, sex trafficking in particular. I think there was another charge. What was it? Contributing to delinquency of a minor because, like how I mentioned about Diddy and one of the male escorts, like purposely urinating on Casey Ventura. Well, R. Kelly, the R in his name stands for Robert. That's his first name, Robert Kelly, but he just goes by R. Kelly, the first letter in his name, his first name. He too was trafficking young girls, as young as 14 and up. And he would purposely urinate on them. That's what got him in trouble. Trafficking and contribute to the delinquency of a minor. That's what he was trafficked for. Similar charges to what Diddy was doing. And he got convicted and is facing 30 years in prison. Now, after a while, you kind of have to think and you kind of agree. If Diddy's going to get let go, then there should be a reason for R. Kelly to be let go too. Because you think Diddy, I mean, not Diddy, you probably think R. Kelly's sitting in prison right now going, wait, he got acquitted of some serious charges, but yet I'm in here in prison for similar things. Not as bad compared to what Diddy did. And now, from what I've been hearing, I think before or during Diddy's trial, you had R. Kelly's lawyers saying saying that R. Kelly is scared for his life in prison, saying prison is dangerous. Well, it's prison. Of course, prison's going to be dangerous. You don't know what's going to happen. And now his lawyers are saying, we want to try to get President Donald Trump to pardon him and let him go. But you know what? And like I said, it does make sense because I mean, what R. Kelly did was bad, but I would say I hope I don't get blowback for this. Not as bad compared to what Diddy did. So I think there's a good reason to let R. Kelly go. If Diddy's gonna get off on the serious charges and only get convicted on two lesser ones. So I think there should be a good reason. And like I said, if you're a celebrity, whether you're involved with Hollywood or if you're a content creator on YouTube that has reached like serious fame, don't be even if you got money, you got wealth, and you got your own power, don't be doing stuff that's gonna land you in court. I mean, parties are having parties are not illegal, like I said. Sex parties not illegal, orgies not illegal, even if it's done in the privacy in your own home. I mean, I gotta be careful what I say here. I gotta be careful what I say here. I know some of the stuff I'm saying is like totally gross and all that, but I gotta be careful. I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong having these kinds of parties in your own home. There's nothing illegal about that, is what I'm trying to say. But in Diddy's case, he should not have been doing stuff involving trafficking and transportation. But as I mentioned, there's a possibility he may have trafficked children too, involving these parties. And I did mention the Obamas as well. And from what I've been hearing from some sources, that they did engage in a freak off, and they said that that kids were also watching this, watching a freak off, and probably forced to participate by force, is what I'm saying, from some sources that I've been hearing, and it's like very disturbing. But we'll never know the truth. Who was also involved in these freak offs, these Diddy parties that Diddy had, knowing no one's going to get held accountable because it's Hollywood. And if you got politicians involved, high ranking politicians that are involved in Washington, probably involved with Diddy, because we're still because we still want answers involving Jeffrey Epstein. We know there are celebrities and even high-ranking politicians involved. We'll never know who was involved, and there's never going to be any accountability. Even if we got answers involving Jeffrey Epstein, I don't know if we'll ever get accountability. That's the thing. But I want accountability. The nation wants accountability. It's not just who was involved with Epstein. The same thing we want with Diddy. We know there's a list. People are involved on Epstein's Island. We know there's a list involving Diddy's parties. Who knows if we'll ever get to that? But Diddy is Diddy. He's a powerful man, but he is dangerous. And I fear for what happens next. Now, another thing, as soon as the verdict and the trial was over, uh, Diddy's family, both his sons and his mother, said they would put up $1 million bond for him if the judge agreed to give him a bond to let him go, because they said they already. Uh, well, here's the thing. Uh, since the 4th of July was already coming up, they were already planning to throw a party for him at home and then celebrate the 4th of July together. The judge said no, definitely not. Even there was a request by Casey herself asking the judge to not grant him bail, because no doubt she was still scared for her life, especially now that she had a child, her third child. But no doubt the judge, without having to accept the request from Casey, knew exactly that Diddy uh, was still a flight risk, and he still has anger issues. Even his lawyers admitted he had anger issues, which the judge said, you admitted he had anger issues, so you basically own that. So Diddy was denied bail, so he has to sit in jail until his sentencing on October 3rd. But I keep hearing that the sentencing date in that same month keeps switching back and forth from October 3rd to like a later date. I don't know. So I think it's still going to be for October 3rd. So Diddy is still in jail. He's still sitting in the same detention center in Brooklyn. So by September, I don't know like what date exactly in September of last year he was indicted, but it's already approaching 1 year later. But it'll be like she's like 13 months like after 1 year mark. Because let me tell you something, if Diddy does get probation, what worries me, and probably for those that testified against him, he'll get revenge. He's probably going to go after Casey. He's probably going to go after Jane, real name unknown. He's going to go after people that testified against him. Probably the hotel security guard. He's going to do whatever he can for going uh, go, going to court and testifying against him. Second thing, what worries me, he's probably going to go back to doing the exact same thing over and over again. Even some content creators on TikTok have said, which I have to agree, he's going to hold like the biggest freak off ever for like his return back home if he does get probation. He's going to hold like the biggest one in his home. NDAs at the front door. You can't say nothing. One thing I forgot to completely mention, during in regards to the trial that took, well, everything was going on, that the jury did finally see at least one or two freak out videos, but then there was like one point during the trial that they saw like short snippets, like short clips of freak offs with both his girlfriends. Probably, I don't know if it's only just with Jane. I mean, not just with Casey, but probably with Jane too. But another thing, uh, that should have been brought forth as evidence were the NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, those forms that you cannot say anything for what happened. I don't know why that evidence was never brought forth, except just the testimony and the freak off tapes. That's it. But like I said, if he does get probation, like I said, he's gonna get revenge on people that testified against him. He'll probably go after Casey. He'll probably go after Jane. He'll probably go after Mia. But at the same time, no doubt he's gonna go back to having freak offs, holding one big freak off in his home. I don't know how many rooms he has in his home in Miami, or well, I know he's got both homes, but I don't know how big both his homes are. But he's gonna have NDAs at the front door. Can't say nothing. One thing. Oh, now I remember. One of his sons that was present in the courtroom. I forget his name. Was it Christian Combs? Uh, I know he has two sons. Christian is one of them, I think, but I forget the second son's first name. Now he like his dad is a rapper. Now, one thing I forgot to mention that during the trial, while the trial was going on, that was brought up by one uh journalist that's a social media influencer on TikTok. I know there's like three or four of them that I don't follow, but like watch the updates. Uh, one of them was called, I think first name was Stephanie. I don't know if the last name was Swoo Woo or nothing like that. But uh, now let me get to the point here. One of Diddy's sons, that's a rapper, like his dad, did rap out a song that had to do with the feds raiding his father's home in Miami. Now, here's the thing we did not know until later on. Diddy had a third home in Miami, which is the one next door to the one that was raided. A third mansion right next door to the one that got raided in Miami. And here's the thing, it's under, and even though Diddy bought it, but it's under an LLC. And what his son rapped about, saying, calling the Fed stupid, not knowing that there was a third home right next door to the one that they raided in Miami, not knowing that there was a third mansion, did not know that Diddy had bought, but under an LLC, but didn't have the warrant to go through it. That's what his son rapped about. I don't remember the lyrics. I can care less. But all I know is that Diddy had a third home. Nobody knew until then. And yet his son called the Fed stupid, not knowing that there was a third next door under an LLC, not knowing uh, they had a third home that Diddy had owned. So, yeah, so Diddy is just a total monster. He is just pure evil. Now, the thing is, now, whatever happens in the sentencing, Diddy is just going to go back to being himself. He's just a monster. And the thing is, what I'm trying to say, after what's gone on, his reputation is in damage control. What's been said about him, and it's going to take a long time for him to recover. And the thing is, right now, uh, but the nation already suspects and believes what he has done, even though he still has a fan base. I don't think nobody can trust him again. Like I said, I don't like rap music. I don't follow rappers. I don't follow pop culture. I can care less. But when it comes to criminality and accountability, that's what I care about. Diddy is It's just a terror of a monster. So this concludes this video regarding the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Now, I try to explain as much as possible as I can. I think I did good explaining everything, even if I got some things mixed up. If I did, I apologize. So, you all tell me what you think. Uh, like I said, I try to do this as soon as possible after the verdict. But like I said, I work a regular job and I've had no time whatsoever to try to do this because I'm busy myself, and this is like the only time I get to. So, so that's it. I finally did it, even though it's already the 28th of July. We're almost approaching the 1 month mark since the verdict. So you all tell me what you think. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment below, and tell me what you think about the trial of Sean P. Diddy Combs. All right. I know this took a long time to explain everything, but I wanted to get it out of the way. I apologize if this took a long time, if I sounded kind of boring, but I really wanted to get into it because this is like one trial that I was like interested. I would say like the second most interesting trial ever, but I think this was like way bigger than if you're familiar with Jesse Smollett, that's like one trial that did catch my eye. We already know what Jesse Smollett did, but Diddy's was like worst, but like I said, second most interesting, but like the worst ever, involving celebrities doing really stupid things. So I would say in my mind, this is like the biggest one for me. I think way bigger than Jesse Smollett. R. Kelly, we already know, but like not much I can say about him, even though his charges were similar to Diddy's, but not as big. All right, that wraps it up for this video. I apologize again if I took forever trying to explain or if I sounded boring. You tell me, but I apologize for taking this long. So this wraps it up. Take care now. Bye.